Hey, it's me, Tom Bosley, or Team Farrell, whatever, back from 3 Skill with another plugin for Cinema 4D called the Ivygen Plus. The Ivygen Plus is a Ivy generator, and this plus stands for the hedge generator. Yes, there's also a hedge generator, a built-in hedge generator, so this is pretty awesome. So when you downloaded the plugin from the store or something, then you will end up with a zip file, and if you unpack the zip file, you will end up with 2 folders. So please copy the folder which corresponds to your Cinema 4D version and paste it in the plugin folder, so you can reach this plugin via this preference. If you click that, you will end up here. You will end up here in this structure here, and go to plugins. Then in this max data app data roaming, then go to plugins and paste it here, the Ivymaker. So then you have to restart Cinema 4D, and so now I start Cinema 4D, and it will prompt me here to type in the serial key. So the serial key which you got after your purchase. So simply paste it and say check license. So this may take 4 seconds or so, to check the license on the server if it is okay, and then Cinema 4D, the Ivy, if everything works fine, then you can see the Ivy here, or in the extensions it will appear here. So yeah, if not, it will inform you that something's wrong with the serial key. And if you fire up the Ivymaker for the first time, so he prompts us with some information here. So the Ivymaker that he uses a small library with models and textures, and therefore he has to write the path into the preferences. So I press OK, and he wrote the path here to the plugin and to the res models folder, so that he can load the textures which were saved locally into the scene. As you can see here, the Ivymaker has started, and it comes here with 4 groups: the Ivy settings and the fruits and blossom group, here the Ivy leaves and blossom library, so it has also a little library, and the Hedge-Maker. I will explain all the parameters step by step. By default, the Ivy mode is here from spline, so the Ivy is created from a spline, so it doesn't matter if it is a primitive spline or a hand-drawn spline, sketch spline, and so forth. The best thing here for Ivy to keep it artistic-like is to create a sketch spline. So I simply press here create spline. He creates a spline as child and activates here also the spline pen tool and the sketch tool, and switch to polygon snapping. And I simply can start here by drawing a Ivy. We are here now in this is the leaf type, leaf settings type, leaf type. So at the moment we are in the procedural type. So this means a leaf is created from this spline gadget here. So you can adjust it, you can create your own shapes and so forth. And it's also shipped with a small library here. You can load with a stem and with a grass, here with a grain. These are things which are updated in future updates, And these procedural leaves are also UV mapped internally. So, and first of all, I want to create here load in a material. So here I go to switch to the Ivy leaves and blossom library, and since it is a procedural leaf, I have to load here the procedural leaves material. So when I switch here Redshift, then he loads the Redshift version. If I turn this off, he loads the standard physical version. So here I click here for a procedural leaf and simply drag that onto the first texture tag here. So this is called leaves. So it has to be called leaves, either lowercase, uppercase, doesn't matter. And the next tag is the branch material. So it has to be called branch, otherwise it doesn't work. First, okay, I load also a branch and drag it here onto it. And since it is a very long branch, I have to tile here the branch, of course, here by 10 or something. And as you can see, the branch is subdivided here. You can determine the subdivision by either changing here the degree or changing the type to uniform and the points in between and so forth. And this resolution has now a very high impact later to the branch diffuser. So the more points it has, the better the diffusion works. So let me explain quickly this leaf types. We can switch also to billboards. So now it creates planes, and you need textures with billboard with alpha texture. So I have here also here you see here the billboard leaves material. You can click here, then it loads the billboard version, and then you can drag this billboard version onto it. As you can see, this works now also. If you're in the procedural mode or billboard mode, you can just use one leaf. But you have also custom leaves here. So when you switch here to custom leaves, you can drag in your own models of leaves or any other kind of object, or you go here to the library and say 3D leaves models. So this is real models, and again, when you load this, then it loads here a custom leaf model. It loads 3 different types. So you can see this here in the library. So these small circles indicate here the color, which color is included. And yes, and let's drag here a custom leaf model, leaf 1. As you can see, this is real geometry now. And you can drag also another one, so as many as you want. You can also combine more than one ivies together. Maybe the one is using procedural leaves with this grain, for instance, and the other one uses the leaves or something. Yeah, there is no limit here. So let's delete this for a moment. Let's increase here the leaves amount here. So internally it's working with multi-instances, of course. And this looks pretty unspectacular. So here you have the seed value. So we get some variations. Then here the leaf size. Here some randomness for the size and randomness for the rotation. So when you use procedural leaves, so be aware that the leaves, so let me make this invisible for a moment. Let's have a look to the leaf. So the leaf has to be orientated to the Z axis, as you can see here. As I press, you can see the leaf is along the Z axis, and this Z axis is then distributed on the branch. So this is important to know, yes, when you use custom leaves, that you keep that in mind. Okay, so this is now the cube, and this looks pretty unspectacular. But if you use here the branch diffuser, this is getting much interesting. Here you can set up the branch thickness as well. And yeah, as you can see here, the subdivision on the spline is now 8 points uniformly. So we have a lot of subdivisions. And now I use here the branch diffuser. As you can see here, we can stretch here now the leaves. It gets a little bit volume here. And for this is very important. The threshold plays a role here, and the step size. So if you increase the step size is, so to say, a kind of noise, the noise size, so to say. The higher the step, the smaller, the more individual points it will affect. It affects here individual points. As you can see, it gets more shaggy, and you get more, yeah, volume in the place or something. Yeah, and the threshold is a kind of strength value. Yeah, so it accepts, for instance, yeah, more points in this area here. So you can play a little bit. You can increase here the strength, and then you maybe 1 is a good step size, or you want a little bit smaller steps here. Then you can, yeah, increase a little bit. So also much smaller. So like this. So you get more volume in place here. You have to play a little bit around. This is a little bit of practice, and yeah. So this is just one single stroke. I increase here the leaves amount. And this is pretty awesome, just with one single stroke. And of course, since we are in the procedural leaf mode, we can just simply copy the leaf, for instance, and maybe vary a little bit here the green. So make it a little bit darker. And create another leaf and exchange the texture here and drag this into the ivy. And then he exchanged a little bit the leaf, and this will end up with much more realism here. It's pretty awesome. If I turn on ambient occlusion here, so you can see this looks pretty amazing. With the Redshift renderer, it looks much better. As you can see, this is now Redshift, and it renders really fantastic quick. But this is just the standard material. It also renders here with standard materials, but with the Redshift material, it looks much better. Yeah, this is a very cool thing with just one stroke here. But be aware if you're using Redshift and the Redshift render view, if you load in maybe here a leaf, it can happen that Cinema 4D freeze, because yeah, this is, I don't know why this is so. This also happens with internal tools. When I draw hair on it and have this render view on, then it also sometimes freezes. And yeah, so when I load here maybe a texture, it can happen that it freezes. Yeah, here now it works, but better is to turn off if you're making hard calculations or hard stuff here. Turn off the render view, then work and later turn this render view on. Okay, we have now here I switch here back to standard quickly. And now I have everything expressed. This diffuse is really a cool thing. You can increase here the diffusion, so it diffuses much more in place. You can totally crazy with 1 or 2 steps. One, becomes a little bit more roundness here. The higher resolution, the more effect it has. The lower the resolution, the less effect it has, as you can see here. Now I want to switch here to the next section here, the fruit and blossoms. So I have to turn them on. And as you can see here, I will get pretty the same as this. So I can add here fruits and blossom or any other kind of object. So here in a small library, I simply, click here my fruits here. This is also a section which will be updated in future updates. So you will get more leaves and fruits and so forth. And all customers who have purchased the plugin will get all updates for free. So I have loaded here the fruits model. So fruit blue, yellow. So I drag in now the fruit blue here. And as you can see, it adds here the fruits. And I can also bend them a little bit more, so like you want. So increase a little bit the amount and also the seed. Also here randomize the size. And it's also possible to select the fruit and size it here. It's also possible. Yeah. And of course you can combine also more fruits or other objects, so you end up something like this. So you have really endless possibilities here. Yeah. So we can also combine here maybe the spline here with the with this spline by simply combining them. And as you can see, you can add here another spline here like this. So this is pretty awesome. And but here you it changes, of course, the shape here a little bit. So this you have to switch here also to uniform again, and then you get back this shape from now. So you can also make this, so you can draw, and if you have really high demands from the from the director, then you can really draw here like you want. Yes. Okay, I explained now the fruits here. Also size, randomness is everything explained. And you can also combine different ivies, yeah, and so forth. And what you can do now is, of course, you can make this, come on. You can make this editable, of course, if you like that. So let me bring this in the background here. So maybe you like this things. You can simply make it editable. And you will get back your performance, of course. And you will end up here with a fruits container and all instances here. This is a multi-instance object and a fruits reference. Yeah. If you want that fruits, this is necessary to keep this as a multi-instance, because internally it would be too performance hungry to calculate all this 5,000 things to polygons. So in every frame, so this would reduce your frame rate repeatedly. So simply press here the fruits container with the middle mouse button. He selects everything, and you can simply say here connect and delete objects, and then we end up here. The same goes for the leaves, and simply connect and delete. In an update, maybe I implement here a button which makes this for you, which brings you gives you the polygon object. Okay, so you have here a complete ready-made model. So let me quickly explain the hair mode of the Ivygen. So the difference is that you draw instead of a spline with hairs. So the disadvantage is that you can't draw on another object or so in volume, so you are restricted to the object, and you can paint on top of the next spline and so forth. So it's, yeah, maybe you need it sometimes with hair. It works a little bit faster and so forth. So how it works, simply it says here create hair, and you have to switch here to from hair, and then you say here create hair. He creates an hair object, and you directly switch here to the hair object, and you can drag in the object on which you want to draw the hairs, and then select again the Ivygen, and then if this button appears as delete guides, then there are already guides on it. So Cinema creates here guides. I don't know why. So simply press here delete, and then you say here draw guides, and then you switch here to the draw guides. You can directly begin to draw, and then you can begin here to draw the ivy on it. As you can see here, it works much faster than with a spline. And of course you can adjust here the settings length should be 0, otherwise it looks a little bit strange. Okay, and then you simply work the same way with all the other settings explained before. So and here the diffuser works pretty well in the this parameter, this resolution parameter, is just available in the hair mode. So you can adjust here the settings of the spline, as you can see here when I blend out the leaves. So it determines the resolution of the spline. Yeah. And the lower, the more segments you get here. So this is very important also for the diffuser. So and now we turn on the diffuser. As you can see here, now we get also a little bit of volume, even if we used here hair. So yeah, here we can the step size or a lower step size. Yeah, you get also here a cool ivy. Yes. Okay, this was everything for the Ivymaker for a moment. And let's create a new scene here. And let's explain here, let me explain here now the Hedge-Maker. So the Hedge-Maker is pretty cool. It's also built in. I wish I had such a plugin as I did architecture visualization for clients. And this was also a reason why I created this plugin, because it's really, I need this really much. Okay, the Hedge-Maker is not procedural, so it is a kind of command, but it's built into this Ivymaker here. Okay, here are all the parameters I will explain now. So the seed is, of course, you will get variations. The head shape, here you have to drag in a head shape. So first we create a head shape. So let me explain a simple hedge with maybe 2 meters in height and, or not 2 meters. Let's make it 160 and 2 meters and 3 meters in length. And make this editable, and it has to be a polygon object, of course. Then we drag in this head shape, and we need also a custom leaf. So we have our leaf library here. So I load in a leaf model. So I'm not in Redshift, I'm normal. Be aware that if you want Redshift materials, you have to check this Redshift. Let's load in the leaves model and also load in here quickly the blossom, a blossom here. And I simply drag here my leaf material and my blossom. Let's make this. And the leaf size, maybe we reduce it a little bit here. The blossom count is okay for now. And the leaf count is pretty good for this size of object here. So let me reduce a little bit here the size. Here is a little bit too big for my taste here. Well, it's okay. It's okay. Okay, this is my head shape, and everything is done. Branch count. So I explain in a moment. So blossom size also pretty cool. Branch radius is okay. Sub D I explain in a moment, and rhythm strength I also explain. So I'm pretty happy with the shape. I press here damn hedgerize me, and he creates a hedge for me. So first of all, he creates here blossoms, the branches and the leaves. So I have also to import the branch material. I drag it here onto the branch and tile it here. So you can see I've got here a nice branch and a nice shape here for my hedge. So if you're not satisfied with the leaf size, maybe you can, of course, everything is undoable. You can, of course, decrease a little bit the leaf size, maybe increase and like this. So here we need also here, oh, my branches here. Okay. When we turn off these leaves here, as you can see here are the branches. We have very, very less branch. So we can create more branches. So let me explain the branch settings now. This tolerance. So let me explain this for a moment, not in this example. So I can increase here now the branch count maybe to this. Maybe it takes a little bit longer to render. So as you can see, I got here much more branches. So it depends on some parameters. So let me explain that quickly, this thing here. So maybe if I have here a tube and maybe like this, and say here slice object minus, I increase here the size, and this one maybe, yeah. So I want to create here a hedge out of that. So this is now my hedge shape. If I measure this, as you can see here, this is about 41 centimeters. So as you can see here, this tube is 41 centimeters. So if you maybe, this tolerance is very important. This tolerance, so maybe it searches a point in the volume of the tube. Then he gets this point. And then he looks at the tolerance value. So, and looks, and every point which is in between this range here can be the next point. So if you have a range here, maybe 4 meters, then also a point on this side can be a branch point, so something like this will happen. So this is not what you want. So that's the reason why this tolerance is very important. You know this distance is 41 centimeters, so you type in at least 41 centimeters, but better is to type in the half, because if you're out here, then it can be the half here. So simply type in maybe 24 or something, and branch count is okay here for a moment, and press damn hedge rise me. And as you, let me turn for a moment this blossoms off. And as you can see, so then he creates branches like this. So this looks much more interesting now. And yeah, so this looks much more interesting and realistic here, as you can see. And this is a little bit of testing, maybe, yes. Maybe you reduce here a little bit here, but I think lower values are better here. So each, not too low, yeah. And then you will end up here with this one. So this looks also pretty cool. So lower values are better in my opinion. So yeah. And of course you can increase the amount also, so forth. So now we've created this branch with no sub-D. So this means, as you can see here, the branch resolution is as less as possible. So, but there's a problem if you want to maybe cut here maybe you want to cut here like a gardener here with this, maybe like this, you want to cut them. Yeah, then it doesn't cut here exactly or something. Yeah, then you can add here maybe sub-D, you can activate sub-D. And then if you want to cut here, so it cuts exactly because the branch got a perfect subdivision here. So this is, therefore it was implemented. So you can look here. So the branch has much more subdivision here. Yeah, and so you can also cut after or trim the hedge afterwards. So, and the cool thing is, if we take this hedge shape, for instance, so this hedge shape, then I make a seed, another version and another seed, and I put all into a cloner object and clone a linear, maybe like this, and switch here the cloner to random. Yeah, and give also here the branch here. Drag on the branch here, material, branches. So now, and also I maybe effector, random effector and parameter just the size, but only on the y-axis, just a little bit. Yeah. Then you will get here really, if you turn switch here to multi-instances, then you get here really variations. Yeah, also really complete randomness here. Everything looks different here. This is pretty amazing. And this looks pretty amazing. And if you also, yeah, if you also maybe cut this shape here, maybe the first one. Yeah, if you go in the front view and cut it. Yeah, the leaves and the branches. Take a brush here and visible off and make it a little bit bigger. And then you select here stuff here going like this. Maybe like this. You cut it. Oh yeah, and the next one here, this one. Cut also this one. So you have to be a little bit more accurate here. Yo. As you can see, you can also get this kind of shapes here. Pretty awesome. A lot of variations here, and yeah, this is pretty awesome. So let me explain this quickly, the withering effect as well. So we have the same settings here. We have here the cube, the leaf, and we have the leaf count. We have the blossoms, and also I want to add now a little bit of withering effect. This is not perfect, but it can help you a little bit. Yeah. So this is my head shape. And now I crank up the withering strength, so it simply deletes polygons from the leaves and the blossoms. And this is completely deletes everything. I recommend here values between 10 and 20, not more. As you can see here, it gets this kind of withering effect here. So you need a little bit more polygons maybe, or you increase a little bit the size. So you have to test this out, what's best for you. So this is without withering, without, and this is with withering, so it looks much more destroyed. And what you also can do is, of course, you can also select the blossoms and the leaves and switch here also to polygons and switch in only visible. And if you then delete some, yeah, you get this destroyed look a little bit. This is also pretty interesting sometimes. As you can see, it gives you a very destroyed version of the hedge. So this can also work sometimes for you. Okay, this was everything for the Hedge-Maker. It was a little bit difficult for me in English because it was a long time ago since my last tutorial. I hope you had fun, and yeah, goodbye.